Hello everyone, Mystery here reporting live for Sloptide News Network, your most trusted source for all things Darktide, and of course, Slop. Today we are talking about, well, we're not talking much of anything because the class reveal was delayed until November 18th, 1 week from today. So next week on the 18th I'll be saying, it's been 1 week since Fat Shark delayed the reveal. Now, this is obviously, kind of a gut punch to a lot of us that were pretty hyped, myself included. I was so ready to go, guys. I had so much cool content and theories about what we're getting to share with you, and I guess I'll have to wait for 1 week. I can't talk about the new class until then, so you'll just have to hold your horses and bide your time. And listen, as far as whether or not this matters or makes me lose trust in the overall machinations behind what's going on at Fat Shark, not really. I'm very used to, as a modern gentleman who plays video games, I'm very used to companies moving their deliverable dates around. I think that's fair, right? Not everything can be planned and accounted for. I would much rather this sort of thing than a Borderlands 4 who openly bragged about how, oh, have you ever heard of a game moving up the release date? And then it crashed 19 times in 1 day for me. So, get your shit fixed rather than delivering it early and bragging about how early you are to the party. I would rather have a good product than one that's scuffed. Now, in this case, I don't think that that's really what happened here. I think that, by the way, they are confirming that the class itself is going to release on December 2nd, so that's nice to have that set in stone. I think that is set in stone, right? I've never known them to miss an actual update deliverable date. That would be a true fuck up if they do that. And as I said in my last video, I do have the big stockpile of pitchforks and torches ready, guys. I just don't think we need to break them out just yet, because this is just a trailer. The difference between 2 weeks of hype and 3 weeks of hype isn't really much of anything, and it's not going to make any difference as to when you actually get your hands on it, which will be the 2nd. So as long as they're hitting that 2nd date, we're all good. No riots need to happen, and we'll just have to kind of tide ourselves, no pun intended, until then. As far as how I feel about this personally, my feeling is like this guy right here. I thought this was a great comment. I had to bring it up just for this. Hilarious. First time in years they make a roadmap and immediately fail at the first notable milestone. Never change, Fat Shark. And this comment is, I know it is taking the piss out of Fat Shark a little bit, but it's like you're face palming, but behind the face palm you're smiling and shaking your head, right? Fat Shark is still they're still a good company. They are not toxic like some of these people. I was recently watching Legend of Total War. He's leaving Total War, which is a crazy thing to do, but Creative Assembly, the company that makes that game, have been just dicks to him every step of the way, and they're bending over backwards to just make his life hell. So yeah, I'm very glad Fat Shark is not like that. And I think that what we're dealing with here is Fat Shark. First of all, these things happen for companies, right? No one has full control over their productive, creative experiences. How many times have I promised something and then just not followed through on it because previous obligations and just the realities of production just don't happen? Please don't actually hold me accountable for that, by the way. But I wanted to point out something, and when we go to this is Space Marine 2's roadmap, right? If you're not familiar with that game, it's apparently a Warhammer 40,000 game. Haven't heard of it. But this game had a roadmap that launched about 4 days prior to this. So the reason this has a very specific date on it was because this was literally set in stone. They were releasing this in 3 days. They weren't going to fuck that up. But then they just do Q4, Q1, Q1, Q2, Q2, right? And then they're just getting super vague in terms of what they're going to be delivering, right? This is set in stone, Tech Marine class, but new mission pickups. Some of these things are set in stone and some of them are really, really vague. And I think it's better to play it vague generally. You do want to kind of call your shot to some extent because it does buy you goodwill. Think of the Babe Ruth analogy of calling your shot. You want to point to the outfield somewhere that you're going to hit a home run and then hit the home run. But it takes an extra special skill to point to which side of the outfield you're going to hit the home run over. So yeah, Fat Shark did the equivalent of like calling out that specifically this is going to be a left field, outfield home run, and saying it's on the November 11th, and they didn't quite hit it right. So yeah, I mean it still will get some RBIs, but it's not exact. I'm gonna stop with this fucking baseball metaphor, okay? But the one thing I do want to point out that I thought was a little bit comical, Space Marine, how would I say, Raven, Saber had the wherewithal to include this down here. Calendar subject to change. Follow us for more information. And Fat Shark, guys, rookie mistake. You should have just stuck that down there. Boom, all problems solved. Then when people at you in the forums and be like, what the hell? You told us it was on the 11th. You broke your promise. You just reply with this picture with a giant red arrow in a circle saying like, boom, fucko. It's right there. Calendar subject to change. Got him. Dust your hands off. Quit the thread. Lock the thread. No, that would be a really snarky thing to do. I think that the way they handled it is fine, right? And this is where I want to talk about what I think happened, why this happened. I've got a running hypothesis, right? And you'll have to hear me out here, guys, but this is my working hypothesis, and it is a Darktide or Fat Shark general hypothesis, at least certainly for Darktide. But the hypothesis is it was Games Workshop's fault hypothesis. And the way it's laid out is this. If there is a feature, promised or otherwise, of Darktide that is conspicuous in its absence, the fault of the absence lies with Games Workshop. So if we take this and like look at other things within Darktide historically, or even in the present day, where it's like, okay, why did we not get X? Well, the fault is Games Workshop. So why did we not get weapon modifications when that was something they were talking about in the development cycle? The fault is Games Workshop. I've heard that confirmed from several different sources. Why did we not get more Arbites cosmetics? The fault is Games Workshop. Right? Because, Fat Shark not only has to develop to their own standards, but then they have to have these third party look over their shoulder and say, okay, yes, you can publish that. So when I see something like this as their company line, to ensure we meet the quality standards of our marketing assets, we have had to make the difficult decision today to delay the announcement of our new class. When you say this, to ensure we meet the quality standards of our marketing assets, I mean, there's a lie of omission here, right? Who creates a teaser trailer for their own class, and then on the last day, with hours to go, they say, never mind, scrap it and push it back a week? That doesn't happen, right? If it were me and I was running my own indie company and I had a teaser trailer and I was like, man, it's good, but it's just not like that fire that I was hoping for, but I have a deadline to hit, and my fans are expecting it on this deadline. That's when they're going to be looking for the hype. I'm just going to deliver it anyway, right? So like if I told you guys tomorrow I'm going to be putting out the 5 melee weapons I want to see come to Darktide thing, well, now I've just committed myself to doing it. And even if that video isn't perfect and kind of sucks, I'm going to put it out tomorrow because people are going to be looking for it to be out tomorrow, and they'll be like, what the fuck? And I don't want to break my promises and get bad precedent. So to me, this reads as to ensure that we meet the quality standards of Games Workshop, we have had to make the difficult decision to delay. Like, that's how I read it here, because this seems so clunky. Yeah, to me, it's like, oh yes, someone looked over at our homework and said, no, this needs to be different in some way, shape, or form. Now, I would love it, if someone wants to leak to me, I won't tell anybody, but I would love it if I could see what the original was at some point and compare it to what we get 1 week from now, and like actually know like what did they make them change, or what changed in that 1 week time. It would be very, very interesting. I doubt I'll ever get that opportunity, but that would be pretty sick just to get some insight on like what sort of stuff like flies versus doesn't. But overall, guys, I'm trying to lend a calming hand to this. I see that like a lot of people down here, this is the sentiment that a lot of people have, right? It's a disappointment, but such things happen, right? It doesn't affect when you get the class. It's not going to affect what the class is. It's not a game-changing thing. It's just going to push back when we're going to discover what the class is, and we'll all have our hands on it in a short enough time. So with that being said, guys, I guess I'll talk to you real soon. I guess I got to go work on that 5 top weapons video for tomorrow since I locked myself into that one. Shit. Never make a roadmap, guys. Never be accountable for anything. That's the lesson here today. All right, guys. Have a good one. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.